Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about free or low cost fun ways to get ready for Christmas. The first thing we need to do is set a budget, and that would be a budget per adult and a budget per child. One way that you can set a budget is to ask your children one thing that they would like for Christmas, and then see what you can afford. And then I would search online and I would try and find that item the best price I can find it, under budget or at my budget. If a child only gets one gift that they absolutely want, I think that's going to be more than enough. When I was small, I know as a child how excited you are because you specifically want one thing. And if I was to look back at my childhood, all the excitement, there were four of us, and my mum and my dad couldn't really afford much because there were four of us. So they used to ask us what we wanted. And as long as we had that one gift that we really, really wanted, that made our Christmas. If you were to ask me what I got for Christmas when I was little, I could only remember what I actually loved. So my pram, my dolly, my children's Bible that I had a little radio that I'd asked for. I think, to be honest with you, that's probably it, because I just wanted those things so much that I wasn't really interested in anything else. And they would be the toys that I would constantly go for. I know that my daughter, I used to give her, at the time it was the Argos catalogue, I used to just sit her down on the floor with a big pen, and I used to say to her, right, circle something that you would like, circle something, one thing off each page. And she would do that. So she would circle everything that she would like. And then I would say to her, okay, so if you could only have one thing from that catalogue, what would it be? And she would let me know. And that would be the one thing that I would try my hardest to get in the price that I could afford. I know there was one year where she wanted, I think it was a Barbie camper van. And the Barbie camper van could be seen nowhere. And if you did find it, those days obviously we didn't have the internet, but if you did find it, it was really expensive and it was way beyond my budget. So I thought, okay, what could I do? Because she's going to be so upset. She was only around 4 or 5 at the time. And I thought, I know what I could do. So Christmas came and I couldn't afford to get the Barbie camper van. So what I did was I left a note from Father Christmas on the side for her, and she opened it and it read something like, I'm so sorry that I couldn't get your Barbie camper van, but my elves have been so busy. We just have the whole world to look out for. So unfortunately, we just ran out of time to build your Barbie camper van. And so I promise you that as soon as I can, we will make an extra special delivery just for you of your Barbie camper van. You will get it, but you just have to be a little bit patient. We're so sorry. And she was happy with that. And then I think it was mid-January. It was mid-January because she was back at school. And I remember picking her up and I said to her, oh, you've got a special delivery at home. She was, oh, have I? And I was like, yes, you have. So we went back home. She was so excited. And we walked into the lounge and she saw this beautifully wrapped with special paper, this beautifully wrapped present. And it said on the box, on the present, something like, so sorry for the delay, but here as promised. And she opened it and it was just great. It was so worth doing that for her, because that was magical. So all I'm trying to say is that even if you can't afford to do something, find a way to make our children's dreams come true without hurting you. Use your imagination. There's so much that we can do to give them what they want without having to go through the heartache of not being able to give them right then and there. The true meaning of Christmas is about the love and the thought you put into Christmas. It isn't about, I want this stuff and I want it now and I don't care how much debt I get into. Try and keep it magical. I know we're all struggling at the moment. I know it's tough out there. Let's see if when we have a challenge, if we can sprinkle it with a bit of magic dust, a bit of special Christmas magic. Let's turn these issues and problems into something special. The other thing that you could do is that with adults, you could make sure that whatever we buy them, it's something that they want. I know that my family and I, and a lot of people won't agree with it, but my family and I, what we do is we set up a wish list. So it's an Amazon wish list, to be honest, and sometimes we'll get a little email attachment with it or whatever, but it's usually an Amazon wish list. And there might only be one or two things. Some people may put 7 things in there. I mean, we always limit it around £20. Sometimes if it goes over, there are 4 couples in our family. We basically say to each other, okay, let's share our wish lists. And then what we'll do is we only allow £20 per person per couple. That's what our budget is. I know that I've only got to worry about £120 a year without my spouse. So £120 a year, plus now I have a grandchild, so that's different. I don't include that. So it's £120 a year that I have to find for Christmas presents for the adults that we spend Christmas Day with. If there is something on that list that is a bit more than the £20, what we'll do is all of us, all couples, will chip in for something that's of higher budget. So if somebody wanted a shirt that was £60, we'll all chip in for that one thing. And then that person just gets that one item. That's how we do it. But you can do what you feel is best. I've got 3 siblings, and many years ago, because I have one child and my siblings all have a minimum of 2, money was very, very tight those days. And what I did was I went to my siblings, all of us agreed that actually we needed to just concentrate on the children under our roofs. They were very, very small. So we said, okay, let's just not buy each other's children. Let's just concentrate on our own. And that actually worked very well for us. It worked because we were able to give our children out of a very small money pot. We were able to give our children the magical Christmases that they wanted as best we could. The other thing that I did a few years ago was I had to have the conversation with my friends about Christmas presents. I went on a minimalism, frugal journey because we had an overdraft, we had credit cards that we wanted to clear. We didn't have an emergency fund, and we were adamant that we wanted to put some savings by. And Christmas got in the way of that. My friends, really, really kindly bought me presents, and in a way, I felt obligated to buy them presents back. So in the end, I put on Facebook, and I had words with the majority of my friends to say, look, can we please not buy each other presents? Because it's just an extra burden. And in a way, it's a kindness to your friends to do that, because it may be that they are also thinking the same thing. So although it's hard to have those conversations, for me, it was a huge relief to get that off of my chest. Because if you're not careful, you end up just having lists and lists and lists of things, people to buy for. And it can be very, very difficult and very worrying. I love the fact that my Christmases are really relatively stress-free because I'm so careful at Christmas. So once your child has decided that they want a specific gift, my advice would be to try and find that gift second-hand, but in perfect condition. Certainly what I've done in the past would be to try and find that gift at huge discount, Obviously, you could use apps to try and find the best price, or you could go on to Vinted, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, sites like that, where you can buy immaculate versions of that item. If my daughter wanted a kitchen, say, I would find either something that was extremely good condition, almost immaculate, or if it was something that I could do up myself, I could maybe repaint it or something like that to just make sure that it was all beautiful for her. And on the morning, they don't have to be boxed. One of the most special things, and if you look at old movies, is that when a child comes down and it's all set up ready for them to play with, that can be extremely magical. So please don't worry about everything being boxed. Maybe put a little ribbon on it or something, and you don't have to go too far with things like that. But do think about that, because it's also wonderful that we can repurpose, these gifts, looking on the environment, etc. There's so many things we can do through Christmas where we can repurpose what we already have, or buy immaculate condition items to reuse and just get many more memories out of. If you do set a no gift adult rule, or you try to have the conversation with somebody and they don't take too kindly to it, at a push, what you could do is you could work out a way of getting them something extra special, something really wonderful that costs very little. Maybe you could repurpose something around your home that you haven't used. Maybe something still boxed that was gifted to you and you've got an allergy towards it. Maybe you could gift something like that. You could make a little hamper out of items around the house for them that are brand new. You could try and search for something special, an antiques fair or Facebook Marketplace. Just really think about what you could do under a very small budget, a maximum of £10. Just, make a game of it, make it fun. When you're out and about, maybe keep a list with you of names that you need to buy for. And if you do walk into an antiques fair and you find something there that's really special, that's just pennies, pick it up. And even through the year, pick up something that you may think, oh, that would be perfect for so-and-so. And just keep it by. Maybe have a little box in the cupboard that you can just put these little trinkets in. I love Christmas food. I love food, full stop. And Christmas is a time where obviously we indulge ridiculously at times. I know that in past years, I myself have spent an absolute fortune on overbuying Christmas foods. In fact, one year I do believe I had duplicate of everything on my Christmas table. Over a period of time, I'd bought all of these Christmas treats and foods that I would never have got through within 6 months. So what I had to do in the end, it was just silly. So what I had to do was I literally got hold of a carrier bag and I put one of everything into a bag and gave it to my uncle, because I just knew that I had overdone my spend. I knew that I'd gone over silly with what I bought. It's something that we do. It's something that is too easy to do because you see something on sale, or such as buy two, get one free, buy two, one half price. And it's just so wasteful. And you spend a fortune on food, drink, treats, that it's just gluttony, really. It's unnecessary. And all of that money adds up. And if we were to ever sit down and write everything that we spend at Christmas, it's heartbreaking, really. I don't even like to think about how much I've spent over the years and overdone it. For the Christmas meal itself, why can't we simplify it? If we were to make a food plan of the meals over the Christmas period, it's only for a couple of days. So if we were to even plan breakfast, lunch and dinner for each day, there are so many things we can do to bring those prices down. So my advice would be, work on what meals we need to plan for, how many people we need to plan those for. Then it would be literally only buy in what we need for those meals. What I'm saying is that we don't want to be wasting food. We don't want to be throwing anything away, because we do it every year. You know, for us, we have a small table of treats, which now we've really cut back, but maybe concentrate on our most favourite foods and only buy those in, because we can spend a little bit more on just a few items that we're really going to enjoy, and let's forget the rest. Our Christmas dinner, it's just one meal. You know, we don't have a starter in our house, that's up to you, but we have our main dinner, which is just a meat. It doesn't have to be expensive. It can be toad in the hole. It's a roast dinner that we enjoy. Whatever you decide, that's up to you. I always buy cranberry sauce in whatever meal I put that with, because I love that. And we always have a Christmas pudding with custard for afters. That does us, and we really look forward to that. It's about the enjoyment of eating together. It doesn't have to go over. We don't have to go overboard. So whatever makes you happy, do that. But please try and keep a budget in mind. One thing you can do is to all chip in together to make a meal. So it just makes it fun. So someone's in charge of cutting the vegetables, someone's in charge of basting the turkey, someone's in charge of sorting out the Christmas table, someone's in charge of making a centerpiece. Also, to keep costs down, is you could share out the cost of that meal. So supermarkets have deals where you can get vegetables for under 15 pence per bag of something. So don't forget that. So do hang on for those sales. The meat can go on sale, and certain supermarkets bring that out. So do look out for those sales. But once the bill is paid for, split the bill. You know, say to everybody, we're all sitting down for this meal together. Let's just share the meal. You know, it takes the burden off of the people that are actually putting on that meal for us. Until a couple of years ago, we used the same decorations. I basically had a red and gold set, which I used, and I had a blue and white set, which I had and used for many years. So one year I would go with the blue, one year I would go with the red and gold. You know, I never understand why people have to have brand new decorations every year. There's something really special about putting the same decorations up every year. It's something about the attachment to those decorations. I had, for at least 15, 20 years, I had the same tree, the same fake tree that I would put up every year. I mean, new trees now, and unless you literally wait until a couple of days before Christmas, when real trees go on sale, you know, real trees are so expensive. Anything up to, anything average, I think the cheapest is about £40. It's just shocking amount of money. They die over Christmas. So I have one 7-foot tree that I bought a couple of years ago. I bought all of my latest decorations, which are all white, from my sister, because she'd collected them over years and she decided that she wanted to change hers. So I bought everything off her for a bulk amount of money, which is a fraction of the cost, which I love. And that's what I use. And I use those every year, and I will continue to use those for the next however many years. I mean, I'm quite minimal with my decorations anyway. My garland for my stairs, I've had for lots and lots of years. And I just put different bows on it sometimes, or I'll add different baubles to it sometimes. There's so much you can do to change things up. There's no need to go in every single year and pay a fortune out for new decoration. If you do decide that you want new decorations, maybe you don't have any and you want to create something, there's quite a few things that you can do. Go online and find out all of the decorations that you can make by hand. There are so many vintage decorations that you can make. But one thing you can do as a family for sure is go for a lovely walk, pick up branches, leaves, berries, and you can make out of those, you can make a wreath, you can make a centerpiece for the table, you can even make a garland. You can collect pine cones and anything else that you can find that would be really special to add to those decorations. Use your imagination. One of the things that my daughter and I used to love to do. And at the time, you could buy them very, very affordably, and we used to do that. And I used to buy the little paper chains. So traditionally, every year, we used to make paper chains. There's nothing stopping you doing that. If you have some material around the house, there's nothing stopping you using that. Newspaper. You know, sometimes the old traditions are the best. Maybe give that a go with the family and the little ones. You know, Christmas at the end of the day is about making wonderful memories with your children or each other. Christmas calendars have become very popular, and I understand that, but the more I see them online, the more I think, wow, they're getting so expensive. Even chocolate this year is really, really pricey. So I can imagine that the Christmas calendars are going to be expensive this year. There's lots of different things that you can do to create your own Christmas calendar. But one idea I came across recently, and I love the idea for myself, is get a jar that you've got kicking around the house, a row of jars. Use stickers or anything you can get, permanent markers, to mark each other's name on the jar. Then count down pieces of paper. So write on the back of pieces of paper each date. And when night falls, each of you write down one thing that you were grateful for that day. One lovely memory, one great thing that happened that day. Maybe you did something kind for somebody. Maybe someone did something kind for you. Maybe you spent time together watching a movie and you just thought, this is lovely. Maybe you bumped into an old friend in town. Anything like that you can write down that you were grateful for that day and pop it in the jar. Later on, after Christmas, you can all go through those jars and read back all those things that you were grateful for that month. I think that's really special. One thing you can do with your family or with your partner is to go on a magical neighbourhood Christmas walk. Just look at the lights. You know, I live in a small town, and the street lights, once they come on in town, are really, really special. But also, the neighbourhood lights are magical. Some residents really, really go to town on their Christmas lights, and they go to such great lengths to bring Christmas to us. It's such a shame that a lot of the time, unless you're driving past and you go, wow, look at those lights, they're actually missed. So you could go onto Facebook and ask where all the best lights are in the area, and then just plan out your route and go for a beautiful walk together and just see all the magical lights. Of course, it wouldn't be Christmas if we didn't have a movie night. One of the things you can do is you can either free to stream your movies on an app or on YouTube. Actually, I search a lot of movies on YouTube. I use YouTube a lot. So a lot of the movies that I watch are actually on YouTube. So either you have an app already that you can stream Christmas movies on, or maybe you can ask your friends and family if you can borrow Christmas movies. Maybe put on your Facebook page, does anybody have any Christmas movies that we can loan out to each other? To me, there's nothing nicer than getting some microwave popcorn, which costs pennies, and sitting under a blanket, all cozied up with family, watching your favourite Christmas movies. I like to keep mine fun and entertaining, so I like the comedies. One thing I love to do at Christmas is attend a Christmas carol concert or a Christmas service at the church. There's so much in your local community that is advertised for free. Please don't miss out on those, because I've got such great memories of going with family to midnight mass. One specific one that I went to was by candlelight, and that was really wonderful. I've gone along with my sister. I went previously with my mum, and it's just so magical that time. You know, that time of year with the crisp air and the whole atmosphere is just special. There's something special about attending midnight mass. If you do nothing at all, try to go to a free Christmas concert of some kind, whether that be in the high street and there's a carol concert going on, something like that. Concerts like that always make me feel fuzzy inside. It just makes me feel so Christmassy. Another thing that my family have done on every year, I don't think I've ever had a year where we haven't done it, is on opening night at a garden centre. Most of the time they give out a mince pie and a hot toddy for free. And often there's live music, a carol concert there, or live music or a band of some kind that are playing Christmas themed music. You don't have to go to those and spend an absolute fortune. So my advice would be, set yourself a budget. Please don't go over that, because there's nothing worse coming away with extra ornaments or things that you don't need, and they can be very pricey. But it's just lovely to go, have a look. Think of, when I go into a store at Christmas, I treat it like it's my warehouse. So I can walk in somewhere over a period of time. I've trained myself to think, these are all my things. And I can appreciate the beauty of those things without having to buy them. So I'll just treat it like a museum where I can look at everything and appreciate it. And I've learned to be able to walk away, which over a period of time you can do. It's something to practice. So if you can practice that over a period of time, it's just a tip. It does actually become easier for you. But I love going to those places just to soak up the atmosphere and just to feel extra Christmassy. The other thing that you could do is that you or another of your friends can host a little Christmas get together. It doesn't have to cost much. You know, you could each decide on bringing one bowl of something, one person bring popcorn, one person bring crisps. Maybe you can keep it teetotal and you can just have coffees and teas. Maybe you can just drink fizzy. Doesn't have to get expensive. Maybe you would rather just everybody bring a cheap bottle of wine. Just have a get together. Just have a laugh. Just maybe play a game of cards. One of the things that we used to love as children to do, and it's really affordable, is play cards with pasta shells. Something that me and my siblings used to do many years ago. So it cost nothing, but we did have a real good giggle over it. If you can't physically get together with friends, maybe you could organise a virtual get together. So you could sit down all cozied up, or call each other at a certain time of the evening and all just have a laugh, maybe have a game online, maybe just have a game over the air, maybe have a quiz night, truth or dare, anything like that, anything that your imagination come up with. Obviously, sometimes money and sometimes circumstances keep us apart, but that doesn't mean that we need to be lonely. You know, just keep that in mind. So sometimes it takes one person to organise these things, but maybe that can be you. That could be right close to Christmas, just so that you feel as though you're together at some point over Christmas period. By focusing on traditions and memories that matter to you most, we can have a fulfilling and memorable Christmas. It doesn't have to break the bank. It doesn't have to be stressful. Bring everything back to basics. Let's go traditional. Let's remember that what matters is that we're with the ones we love. Whatever you do this Christmas, have a wonderful one. Lots of love. See you next time.